All right, gang, this is going to be so much fun. Today, we are talking with Jillian Michaels. Now, as you probably know, Jillian is one of the world's leading fitness experts. She's also a renowned nutritionist, and you may or may not know this, but she is an incredible entrepreneur. Listen to this. In the past decade, her company, Empowered Media, has become a juggernaut. And I don't use that word lightly, within the wellness industry, providing products and solutions spanning all aspects of living a healthy life as you live your best life. Heck, one of their most recent huge successes has been their app. It's simply called Jillian Michaels, the fitness app. You got to check it out. Um, it's impressive. It's incredibly helpful. Yeah, you're going to want to see it. They've won all sorts of awards around it as well. Now, here's the thing: just a few other bullet points. This intro could literally be 45 minutes long, but just a few bullet points to continue to reinforce this. Um, she's got over 100 million followers on the interwebs. That's pretty doggone impressive, right? Top rated podcast, Keeping It Real with Jillian Michaels. Check it out. She's released, this one just made my jaw drop. She's released 20 fitness DVDs that have sold over 100 million copies worldwide. And then get this, she's written 8 New York Times bestsellers, right? Including her most recent book, The 6 Keys Unlock Your Genetic Potential for Ageless Strength, Health, and Beauty. It's now available. You're going to want it. Strap in, though. It is amazing. It's right down our alley. High science, but also implementable tools you can start to use immediately. It's all gas, no break. It's everything Dream Think Doers love. So you're going to want to grab that. I think most importantly, though, she's an amazing mom to 2 incredible kiddos. She's also really an impressive human. The more I've dug into her story, I've known about her for years, but I'll be completely honest. The more I've dug into her story, the more I've been impressed. And she is truly living a Dream Think Do life. So it's an honor to have her on the show. So Jillian, thanks so much for being on Dream Think Do.
Like, that was the best intro I think I have ever had.
Well, hey, I always say good intro is my gift to my guests, so it's the least
Ooh,
I can
that's
do. I
nice.
love
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
wow, I sound good.
You
My
sound
mom
freaking
would be so
impressive. That's
proud.
right. I
Yeah.
love it. So
Ooh,
here's the
thank you
thing.
for
It's
having
dream,
me.
think, do. And, like we were talking about before, we always try to help people to dream bigger, think better, and do more, but have real conversations around these subjects. And, you are obviously a juggernaut. I think that's the first time I've used that word describing somebody.
Oh,
So
really? I don't know
that's
that
pretty
anyone's.
badass.
I don't think I've ever been called a juggernaut. So
I had to spell check it, to be completely honest. How do you spell that? But
too
I mean,
deep.
it's
I think too deep.
impressive. Yeah, I know. It's like, Jay, what? But it's impressive what you've done. Um, from what I understand, you started out in martial arts. Wasn't necessarily your goal to do this when you first got started. So I want to hear, what was like one of your childhood dreams? And also, when did it start to become clear that this, in fact, was the dream you wanted to pursue? What'd you
Oh
dream
God.
about being as a kid?
Oh, a rock star. I mean, what kid didn't? The only problem is, like, I can't sing.
Yeah,
I can't play an instrument. I
that's
can't
actually pretty
dance.
common now.
I have no. You're not wrong. But at the time, you actually had to be supremely talented. So that, my music career never really got past go. I never got from the shampoo bottle in the shower
Yeah.
stage, unfortunately. Um, and then I fell into this line of work very organically at about 17. So you
Yeah.
mentioned that I was in martial arts, which my mom had the foresight to sign me up for when I was roughly 12.
That's
And my
incredible.
parents were going through a divorce, and I was kind of a troubled kid and picked on kid, the bullied kid,
Yeah.
overweight, gay, didn't know I was gay, but all the
Right.
other kids knew I was gay,
Yeah.
kind of a
It's gonna,
thing.
everybody else
I was
knew, but
like,
I'm
why
like,
are
what?
they calling
Why
me
am I
this?
uncomfortable everywhere?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my God. Which I ended up discovering later in life, obviously. But so I was just sort of troubled. And
Yeah.
she got me into martial arts. And over time,
Yeah.
it redefined my self-image as well as my health and my
Yeah.
physicality. And I began to appreciate fitness as a means to empower people in every facet of their lives.
Yeah.
Again, as I got older, because it was happening intrinsically without me even realizing what was going on. In school, all of a sudden people stopped picking on me, and I didn't realize why, but it
Yeah.
was the way I carried myself,
Yeah.
clearly. So anyway, long story short, I'm 17 and now I'm fit, no longer a chubby kid,
Yeah.
training for my black belt. And people would come up to me in the gym and ask me, you know, how much did I charge? And I was like, for what?
What are we talking about here? Can we just clarify
Right.
real quick?
Yeah. What do you mean? So, and they thought I was a trainer, thank God.
Wow. Yeah, right.
And I started to realize that I could make like $15 an hour training people.
Come on.
And I was delivering pizza for 15 bucks an hour. And at the time, you didn't really get big tips. It was like they kind of
Right.
rounded up,
Yeah. Yeah.
like 56 cents for every delivery. So it was the days of Postmates were, very far off.
Right. Yeah. Uber Eats was nowhere even on the horizon. Yeah.
Not a thing. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I can make some real cash doing this.
Wow.
Once again, my mom stepped in and had the foresight to help me get my first little certification. And I fell into it and loved it and took it all for granted. Did it during the day, bartended at night, led the life of Riley, made a ton of money, never ever appreciated how lucky I was
Huh.
until
Yeah.
at 24, I kind of got pressured by individuals in my life that had gone to Ivy League colleges, the whole thing. And it was, you can't be a trainer. How are you going to make a living? Blah, blah, blah. So I got a job at a talent agency called ICM, pretty big agency.
Yeah.
Worked my way up, took me 3 years, became a junior agent, never made less money, never been more miserable. Like a very long story short, got myself fired from that place.
Well done.
Thank
done.
you. Thank you very much. Oh my God. So never pick a fight with one of the biggest agents in Hollywood if you work at a talent agency.
Good call.
Mistake.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
wisdom. Just as a sidebar, good wisdom. Yeah. Don't do
That's a
that.
bad idea, but it worked out. So I ended up, after having gone through quite a depression, and scraping change up out of my couch to pay for gas money, falling back into fitness to pay the bills. I wake up
Interesting.
one day at about 28 after 3 months of training again. I'm working at a sports medicine facility as well, helping physical therapists to rehabilitate patients.
Wow.
And all of a sudden I'm waking up and I'm loving going to work.
Huh.
And I was like, how did I ever allow myself to get so far afield?
Right.
And that was the first time I realized that I loved doing it because I was no longer taking it for granted, that I was great at it.
Yep.
And I thought, all right, now how do I build a career doing this? And then that's kind of a separate story, but that's how I fell into it. It was very, very organic and serendipitous.
Isn't that amazing? Like I appreciate your transparency on it too, because it's amazing. I've gotten to talk with, all different people, all walks of life that are walking out what they would now call their dream, but it's almost never a linear line. It's usually, all over the place, but I love how there was a lot of experimenting in there, right? You allowed yourself to experiment. Your mom encouraged you to experiment. But I even think, even the stint in the agency, one, taught you what you didn't love. But I would imagine some of those experiences have probably helped you along with your career. Like, I mean, it might have seemed like an accident. It might have seemed like a waste of time, but that there's never a waste if you can learn from it, right?
It was invaluable. And I remember thinking after I got fired, like, how did I make such a screw up, right?
Yeah.
Like a 3-year screw up.
Yeah.
I never stopped to be like, I'm miserable. This isn't for me.
That's right.
And yet,
it's obvious. Yeah.
Here's what's amazing about it is that time at the talent agency taught me about business.
Yeah.
So I learned how to write emails, how to communicate, how that whole world worked.
Yeah.
I learned a little bit about branding and a little bit about financing. And even though I thought I was just going to throw all of that away, it ended up being an invaluable tool in running my own company with my business partner. And on top of that, had I not worked at that talent agency, I never would have met one of the agents who ended up putting me up for The Biggest Loser.
No kidding. I wondered if there was any kind of connection in there. That's incredible.
That never would have happened.
How long after all of that did Biggest Loser play out?
So let's see. I'd say late 27, I was fired. By 28, I was training.
We track ages by firing. Yeah.
These very these tentpole moments. In
yes,
life.
Exactly. Yes.
So started working at a sports medicine facility when I was 28, opened my own by the time I was 29, early 29. And then I think I ended up on Biggest Loser, I'll say by accident because that wasn't part of my plan.
Right.
Um, at about 30, almost 31.
Huh. And was Biggest Loser, would you say Biggest Loser was a result of more experimenting? Because I know it sounds like it wasn't necessarily like, I'm going to go for that. That is my goal, but
It
more the
wasn't.
result. Yeah.
It wasn't. In fact, I almost turned it down. So what
Interesting.
happened was when I realized that I loved doing what I was doing,
Yeah.
which was helping people, right? Obviously get healthy
Yeah.
and find this resilience and this strength through fitness the way I had.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, how am I going to build a business out of this other than going hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, client to
Right.
client? So that's when I opened the sports medicine facility and I was like, all right, this is great. But then how do we build this model out?
Right.
So I started to study different business models like curves, for example. So I
Sure.
thought that I was going to shoot to franchise this model
Wow.
of sports medicine, rehab, massage meets fitness training. So like it could be part Medi Spa.
Yeah.
And it was all the rage at the time. And I was like, I can do this. Why not
Yeah.
make this like one in every town, right?
Yeah. Franchise the
So
shiznits out of it. Yeah.
I was looking at individuals in my field that were getting a ton of press and they were training celebrities. So I thought, okay, I need to get celebrity clients. And because of my time at ICM, I got many celebrity clients because even while I was at ICM, I was still telling people what to do for
Sure.
nutrition and food because I'd been a trainer for so long. So I had a great clientele. I had built up my business, and I thought I was going to end up utilizing the weeklies to build
Sure.
my profile, build up the name of my facility, then bring on some investors, franchise it out, and so on. Another long story short, the opportunity for Biggest Loser came up. Hated the name, didn't get it. Never
Yeah.
watch reality TV. Hate reality TV, which is a terrible thing to say considering I owe everything I have to that platform. And I
It
don't
is
mean to sound like a
ironic, but
snob.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
hate it. I find it to be like usually people tearing each other apart.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. I don't get housewives. Not that the housewives aren't wonderful. I just don't like to watch people tear each other apart,
Yep.
whether
Absolutely.
bachelor or you know, who gets it
Yep.
rough. I don't, it's not for me personally. So to end up on a platform where people are competing and is so bizarre,
Yeah.
but it's like that which nourishes me also destroys me. It gave me this massive platform, but I also, you could tell, I was on the show, I was off the show, I was on the show, I was off the show. I had a lot of
Yeah.
issues with the show fundamentally.
Sure.
But I am completely grateful. And without it, I wouldn't be talking to you today.
Right. It's absolutely amazing. Well, I know I confessed before we hit record that first couple of seasons it came out and I'm like, that's a terrible name. But then we
Yeah.
watched the show, we saw you and Bob and you were helping these people, building these people up and seeing these breakthroughs. We watched it every week. And, funny enough, we were eating pizza and eating ice cream while, everybody's working out. We felt terrible, but at the same time, we were inspired. So I love it. I love it. And it's crazy to think about though. And what I love too is that I always say when you take a look at where somebody's at, especially when we talk with somebody that's walking out, their dreams and goals, it's always amazing to go back and kind of like break down how those got built out. And there's usually clues along the way. And it's amazing how, I mentioned the old juggernaut entrepreneur thing, like that the seeds of entrepreneurship happened really early with you. I mean, at 17, you're already thinking, what, I could freelance this thing. And then at 28, you're thinking, I could franchise this thing. So, I mean, you were thinking like an entrepreneur early on. So I love that, which is a good segue because I know you've got two beautiful kiddos. And
Mm.
one of the things I wanted to talk with you about is I know you love and adore them. But encouraging your kids to dream and kind of seeing those clues, because it sounds like your mom probably saw some clues in you as well. Let's talk about how do you encourage your kids to dream?
We just had an interesting conversation in the car this morning.
Interesting.
Because my daughter got into a really good school in Miami. It's called Riviera. They're like they're 10, number 10 out of all the schools in Miami.
Wow.
And she's so excited, right? She's over the moon. My son, he doesn't like homework, he doesn't like school, he doesn't
Amen,
wanna,
brother.
you know what? And, there Lou's like, "Well, if I" my daughter was like, "Well, if I get into this school, then I'm gonna get into a good college and then everything's gonna work out." And I was like, "Well, not I don't wanna discourage you,
Right.
but not necessarily." And, to my son, because he's like, "I'm gonna do what I love and I don't need college." And I was like, "And also not necessarily, buddy."
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I was like, he loves fishing. That's his passion. He's like, I'm gonna do a YouTube channel and I'm gonna do merch. And I was like, well, you're gonna need to know how to market all of that stuff. And you're gonna need to know how to read and study keywords and strategies and this and that. And he's like, "Ruh?" And I'm like, yeah, you
Yeah,
might want to
exactly.
consider college
Yeah.
to help you pursue it. And I was like, on the other hand, I know a lot of people who went to college and did nothing with their
Yep.
lives. And that's not a foregone conclusion for success either.
Right.
So, I was like, it's a combination of passion, grit,
Yep.
perseverance, entrepreneurial spirit. You do what you love, but you got to understand that along with what you love comes a lot of what you don't. And that's
Hmm.
why you have that why to tolerate the how.
Yeah.
So much of the time when we're dealing with things in different aspects of our business, I want to my head hurts. It's like, oh, and then the margins and the key profit, the KPI something, and the markers
Exactly.
of the thing, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God, I just want to sell collagen. Like, it's like, geez, all these different elements that I
Yep.
struggle with. And yes, I have a business partner and a team and a this and a that and whatever. But I also have to be checked in. I have to get it.
Yep.
I have to follow it. I can't just hands off
Yep.
or micromanage. So, while I hate certain aspects of a business that I love,
Yeah.
I realize I've got to do them and learn them and do the work
Yep.
in order to help make the passion an actual reality. So it's like that fine line. And I try to get them to understand, like, you don't have to do the shoulds in life.
Right.
You don't pursue the thing you think is responsible. You pursue the thing you love. But in pursuing it, it will come with a lot of stuff that you don't love.
Yep. And
And you
work.
got to have the grit to do it.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's
A lot of
exactly
hard
right.
work.
I love that. And I think that that's, we talk a lot about that. Like, how do you encourage those dreams in your kids? Because I think some parents are like, you know what? I just want to set them up for success and try to clear away every problem. And it's like, well, that's not going to serve them well. Right. But
No.
at the same time, it's, you see some parents like, I don't want them to take a risk at all. I don't want them to try anything. It's like, come on, it's like you said, we got to be in that tension of being able to say, hey, we're going to go after those dreams, but also know there's going to be some skin knees. There's going to be some hard work. There's going to be some late nights. So it sounds like you're doing
Yeah.
your kiddos a good service by being able to talk with
I
them
hope
about
so.
what the dreams are, but also what the realities might be too.
Well, my daughter almost didn't get into Riviera because
Yeah.
so they sent through this test that she had to do on Zoom. So
Oh, wow.
all my friends, I guess there's a television episode where the parents like help the kid cheat or something on the test. I didn't, it's called the Conrads or something, but they're like,
Oh,
why didn't
sure.
you just help her? Because she's really struggles with math. They're like, why didn't you do this? Find a way to, and I was like, it didn't even occur to me to do that.
Right.
Like, because
And
I was
that's
like,
not
she doesn't
serving
get
your
in.
kid, right? Like that's not
Oh,
serving your kid.
so
Yeah.
they're like, look, she really struggled on the math, or she did great in these two areas. This she didn't do well.
Yeah.
And I sat her down and I was like, look, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if you're going to get in. I'm sorry. This sucks. I get it. It hurts. You have every right to be devastated. I know you wanted this more than anything. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at why if you don't get in,
Yeah.
and we're going to reapproach the next opportunity more intelligently. So we're going to look at where we went wrong on this math exam. I'm going to get Janine, who's our tutor, in here to
Yeah.
help you through every single problem. And if we don't get into this school, honey, it's not meant to be. The right opportunity is waiting for you to be ready for it just around the corner. But she ended up pulling it off and getting in. But it didn't even occur to me to like go do the
Yeah,
math.
right, right. Like that's the thing. I mean, it's
I was like,
so tempting, right? But it's at the
ah,
same time, like, nah. I think
they're like,
to
go behind the
me,
computer. I was like,
right,
oh,
exactly, right. Just do it. Well, I love it because I would say to me, especially talking about the subject all the time, you did one of the things that I think is the greatest gift a parent can do is to say, "I'm here." Right? Not save them from it and be able to speak to the realities of it and all those things, but to be able to say, no matter what, I'm here. and we'll figure it
I
out
hope
together.
so.
Right. Like to me, that's the greatest gift you can give your kids. So that is awesome.
I
I'm
hope
glad she
so.
got in though. That's great.
She did get in.
Yeah.
So
Like, yeah,
she did. But I'll
that's
tell
huge.
you, she's like, they're like, we're gonna have to really like buckle down, and she's gonna have to X, Y, and Z from math. And I was like, I don't want to hear it. The next time you were like, I don't want to work on it, or I don't
Yeah,
want to see Janine, like, then remember how you feel tonight when you're
exactly.
crying your brains out in your pillow right now, telling you you have no future. 11 years old, I have no future. It's like, oh my God, are you
That sets it
serious
so
right
much
now?
earlier now. It seems like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. I was
Oh
like, honey,
gosh.
you're 11.
Yeah.
You're a fetus,
It's
pretty
going to
much,
be
with hair.
okay.
But
Exactly.
yeah,
We're
it's gonna
just
work
getting
out.
started. Yeah. I love it. I
But
love it, which is a great
yeah.
segue. It's a great segue because, we call it dream, think, do. So I love talking about dreaming, but we also talk about, all right, how do we think better? And obviously, it
Yeah.
starts at 11, it starts at 9, it starts at every age of how do we direct our thinking? And I mean, man, if we could dive into every aspect of your career, there have been incredible highs, and I know some pretty tough lows as well, some setbacks along the way. So I wanted to dive into your thinking a little bit. How do you stay on track? How do you focus? And I would even say, what was a season where maybe you lost some of that focus, you had to fight to get it back?
I focus based on passion and caffeine. I mean,
Amen. I set this
caffeine.
bad boy down right before
Yeah.
we
Oh
started.
yeah.
Amen.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
No,
in a
it is
safe place here, sister.
it is my one and only serious drug of choice. It has a
Yeah.
tremendous telescoping effect for me. And being exceptionally organized because of how my brain works. If I'm not,
Yep.
I feel really scattered and I can't focus. So very literally, like, I'm caffeinated and I'm organized, and that
I love it.
helps me drill down. I do have ADD, which has been a huge asset,
Yeah.
because when you have it, you can telescope in on the things you love.
Yep.
But when you hate something, it's extremely hard. But I've
Absolutely.
adapted to learn how to, I hate to say, to get people to communicate with me so I can distill something to its most simple form,
Hmm.
which I think has been an asset for me in influencing
Yeah.
other people in the public. Because I can explain a diet to you, or I can explain a workout strategy to you, or any health concept that may feel intimidating, very simply because I need to hear it that way.
Yeah.
So I
Huh.
have the ability to go to a host of different individuals and say, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, give it to me in a way I can explain it. And then I can then turn around to you and go, okay, look, it's simple. It's
Yeah.
A, B, C, and D, because that's the only way my brain can grasp it. So I think that's worked for me, is to really try to simplify it, boil it down,
Yeah.
and keep it clean and streamlined.
Amazing.
And I'm also a big pivoter.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem pivoting. I did with social media. I really hate it, and I still struggle with it. Uh,
Tell me
you know,
more
I
about that. I'm curious about that with
I
like a
hate
bajillion
it.
followers. Like,
I
tell
hate,
me more
but they're
about that.
not on a just so our followers exist mostly on our community, on our app. So
Aha.
all of our users are
Yeah.
aware. So we aggregate. So across the podcast,
Sure.
across the app, which is our community. And then yeah, the social channels, but our users, like the 100 million, those numbers are downloads.
That's amazing.
So I like to control my my audience.
Yeah.
I don't like other people having control of what messages I can get out. I've always hated that. And it's
I was
like,
going to say, is that something you've always hated, or is that something you
it
learned?
never made sense.
Yeah.
And I fought it and fought it and fought it, much to my detriment. I was like, why am I going to drive people from jillianmichaels.com to Facebook?
Yeah.
Like, why would I want to do that?
That's
And
interesting.
then sure
Yeah.
enough, it was like, and now we're going to shut off the flow of your content unless you want to pay us.
Right.
And we're going to limit your reach unless you want to pay us. And we're going to decide what people see and what they don't see unless you want to pay us. Oh, are you running a sale? Yeah, we're shutting that down unless you want to pay us.
Yeah.
So it's our newsletter list is where we have our followers. The app is where we have our followers. I hate the word followers. Audience.
Yeah. Audience, tribe,
Consumers of
community. Yes.
content. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Community. Thank you. Much better word. Or the podcast, which is free to people. But I I hate it. I hate relinquishing control. I hate so much of what it stands for.
Yeah.
Like I I find it to be so, it's no joke. It's no secret now. We've all seen the social dilemma. It's
Right.
polarizing as hell.
Right.
It's manipulative as hell. It's all fake. There's like, oh, I've got 100 million followers. They're all bots. It's all spit. You know what I mean? Like, and then if
Well,
somebody doesn't like your product, they just spam your product with bots in the comment
yep.
section of like, oh, it's deadly, it kills people, it's the worst. And then if you click on that user, it's like some fake account out of India.
Yep.
Like I hate it. Hate it. There's no control, there's no transparency, and it's extremely difficult without constant policing
Yeah.
to cultivate a positive environment. I had to turn off, like, shut off all these keywords. It's just a nightmare. So I don't love it, but it is a necessary evil,
Yep.
one that I have not excelled in because I hate it so much, unfortunately. But with that said, in every other area,
Yeah. Well, it's
I
amazing
can
to me, like
pivot
checking
to
out
it.
your app and reading your content, listening to your podcast. I go just this close of stalker when I research, just this side of restraining order. So you don't have to worry too much,
I
Jillian.
love it. No,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. But it's impressive. And one of the things that I like as an entrepreneur, been an entrepreneur since 2002. And I became an entrepreneur, I think in some ways like you, to create something, but also to get out of something, right? Like I was in a bad fit job that was slowly killing me. And so I'm like, you know what? I don't think I can, I think I'm broken. I think I need to go create something because I don't think I'm going to work well with others until I create it. Right. But that's when I look at your trajectory. One of the things that I would say about you being an entrepreneur, and I know you've surrounded yourself with great people. You're quick to say you've got an amazing team and a business partner, all those things. That's great. But it seems to me that you have positioned yourself with your business to allow yourself to walk in more freedom. Like you are not necessarily dependent on popular culture.
Mm,
Because you have your business, because you have your own platforms, you can
I
say the
know.
things that, I mean, that's one of the things that
Ah,
we don't have to get a whole lot into it, but that is one
no,
thing I will
we
say
should.
I'm impressed by is you have a set of beliefs around nutrition and around fitness. And I know it's like almost everything. You're like, I'm not selling anything. Like this is based on science, but you've been willing to say some of those beliefs, which has gotten backlash, that kind of thing. And I'm like, gosh, but she has her business. She's built this base. She's built these things. So, she can say the things. You're walking in a freedom. And I know there's always a risk to that, but you're walking in a freedom that a lot of people that are dependent on somebody else's platform can't walk in.
You're absolutely right, and it's a dangerous world nowadays,
Yeah.
because we all sit here and rail against cancel culture.
Right.
But the minute somebody makes, let's say, a mistake, and I do not cop to making any mistake, I stand by everything I've said.
Yeah.
With that said, let's presume somebody has made a mistake, done something, or said something stupid. Where's the forgiveness?
Right. Where's the
Where
grace? Yeah.
where is the grace? Where is the grow, learn, evolve,
Yep.
change? Where is the education? And it's like everyone is so quick to ruin that person's life. And
Yeah.
I think about the young girl who was just fired, I believe, from Teen Vogue. I think
Right.
she became editor in chief.
Yep.
I think when she was 15, she had made like a nasty comment, I think, about gays. I didn't do a deep dive into it, to
Sure.
be fair.
Yep.
And I think about Asians. I think an Asian person had taken her position at college or something like that. And she was pissed about it and said something really stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, she's 28.
Right. Think she's grown?
And she
Right.
said, I'm sorry. I was an idiot. I screwed up. Like, let her then turn around and use this massive platform to make it right,
Yeah.
to learn, like, to show that what she's learned about, but instead you're going to fire her and ruin her life.
Right.
And you've got these massive, big corporations that are so quick to ruin lives. Oh, you're gone. You're
Yeah.
fired. You're out. You're out of here. You're dead. You're gone. It's over. Whereas with me, yeah, it's like Apple can ruin my life because Apple can take my app off of their platform, and
Sure.
Google can ruin my life. That would really suck. But that'd be
Exactly.
how I mean, they do. There are like, so let's never say anything bad about Apple and Google.
You guys are just fine. We're fine with you guys.
I do a lot of advertising on Facebook too, so maybe I should have been a
Right.
bit more careful there. But at the woo, but I think, when you do have your own platform, there is nowhere NBC is going to fire me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They can't fire. Go. I don't work for you anymore. I work
Yep.
for me. Um, and while people are like, oh, we're going to boycott this, it never works. You saw what
Right.
happened with Goya beans. They sold more beans than I think they've sold in the last 10 years. So it's like, go ahead, boycott your brains out. It's not going to work. When you have your own standalone platform, you're insulated.
Yeah.
But when you are an employee, you're not.
Yeah.
And the people's lives that are being ruined are just generally everyday individuals that don't have their own platform, that work for somebody else, that might say something on social media, and then everyone goes after them and literally will get them fired.
Yeah.
I find it horrific. And I think there's two ways forward here. Number one, personally, try not to give your opinion on things you're not an expert in. There's just
Right.
no reason. Keep it
Right.
private. There's no reason. I don't sit here and tell you who I voted for, what my religion. It doesn't matter. What do you
Yeah.
care?
Right.
Who gives a crap? I'm not going to try to convince you. And I respect who you voted for
Yeah.
and what God you believe in. And we should that's called America.
Right.
You're allowed to vote for who you want. I'm allowed to vote for who I want. I'm not going to try to change your mind. If you and I were at dinner having a fun debate, that might be one thing.
I would love it. Right. But that's not
Right.
this platform. That's exactly right. Yep.
What I am an expert in my field. When you're an expert in your field, you stand on data.
Yep.
And you refuse to let flat earthers intimidate you into lies. Because that's what it is, right? It's literally across the board. Whether you pick your category of expertise. Mine is fitness, nutrition, health, and wellness. And I think I've done about 30 years worth of work in this field. I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the best endocrinologists, geneticists, registered dietitians, physiatrists, you name it. I've had a chance to work with most of those people. So when I stand on a mountain of overwhelming evidence, like no one's really, they might want to take you down, but they really can't, because the truth is the truth.
Yep.
So I think when you're an expert, you have an obligation and a responsibility to plant that flag.
I love it. Well, and that's why, it's amazing to look at your trajectory, because you really, the entrepreneurial bent obviously was there early, but it does seem like that is also a part of what's allowed you to be even more you, right? And to walk in more of that freedom, which I think is a big deal. And I think that, when we talk with people about, dream pursuits and dream journeys, usually the route is messy. It's never linear. It's full of experiments, some that go well and many that don't, all of that. But, I would say that one of the fruits of this journey for you, especially the entrepreneurial side, is to be able to say, hey, you know what? I am relatively solid in this platform. Like you said, you've got, some platforms you still need to use, but I think I love that kind of these things have come together for you, of being able to walk in that entrepreneurial bent, but also walk in more freedom to be more you. So I think that's huge. And I think that that's again, not necessarily something you set out to do initially, probably weren't even aware of it, but it's one of the fruits of what you've been able to experience. So I love it. I love it. Well, one of the things that we do with Dream Think Do is, especially when we've got guests that people get freaked about, they're so excited about, I always make it available for Dream Think Doers to submit questions. So what I want to do is just do a couple of quick listener lightning round questions, because people were freaking out that Jillian was going to be on the show. So I've got some that we can go after quick. Sandy Nicholson and Tracy Santos asked almost the exact same question. She's like, all right, where does all of her energy come from? What drives her? What would you say if somebody's, there it is. Little caffeine, baby.
Yeah. What drives me? Passion.
Yeah.
Passion. If I get into something, I'm interested in it. If I write a book, it's because I'm experiencing it, right? Whatever I'm living, I'm writing about, learning about, talking about. When my son was born, I was like obsessed with, I didn't have him, my ex had him, but prenatal fitness and prenatal nutrition, because the doctor gave her a prenatal vitamin with red number 40 and hydrogenated oils and all kinds of preservatives and garbage. And that was the beginning. I was like, wait, this is so ass backwards. And the whole process was asked backwards. So then I
Yeah.
began a deep dive into that. I'm always writing about or working on what I'm going through, which I'm going to be inherently passionate about. So it's usually my own experience in life that's
Yeah.
driving my work, and energy comes from that authentic passion.
I love that. And I love how you also, with doing some of that research, sometimes you build businesses and shows around some of these passions. Sometimes you just allow yourself to explore those passions. It doesn't always have to become a product or, a company, but you can just dive into those things. And we're big fans of being able to do that. So I love that. So Sharon Dingus asked, she's like, what's one of your favorite strategies that you found for keeping yourself and your clients motivated, inspired, and focused?
Hmm. You just always have to bring it back to the why,
Mm,
right? Like,
yep.
work with the purpose is passion. Work
Yep.
without purpose feels punishing. So,
It's good.
when we have that perspective of like, I really want to come home and watch episode 4 of Handmaids tonight and order a pizza
Right.
versus like go for a hike with the dogs or do at least 30 minutes on my app or whatever, wherever I am working out. It's like, okay, handmaids and pizza or that vacation I'm finally going to get to take at the beach in my bathing suit. Handmaids and pizza or, be a role model for my kids.
Yeah.
Handmaids and pizza, you get the idea. It's
Get it. Yeah.
constantly putting it in perspective of how the work is going to pay off
Yep.
in all the ways and things that you care the most about.
I love it. And being able to keep that perspective, which is huge, which is a great segue. You didn't even know what the next question was, but Jackie Cotter, she said she got to see you speak in Des Moines years ago. She said she was wonderful.
Oh,
So that's awesome. She said, I want to know how she balances her thoughts and feelings about diet and exercise with just letting her kids be kids and letting them have processed snacks, veg in front of a TV, etc. So speaking of watching TV and eating pizza. How do you balance that, especially with your kiddos?
you know, it's not, here's what's interesting. It's not difficult because I live that way. So
Yeah.
we have organic Cheetos. They're
Yeah.
called Luke's.
Nice.
So I like, we eat them. Just
Yeah.
they get like it's like pick a chip. You want an organic Cheeto, you want organic popcorn, you want organic blue corn tortilla chips, you want organic potato chips. It's still processed food,
Yeah.
but we don't overeat it.
Yep.
And it doesn't have any of the really dangerous chemicals and preservatives in it. So I think of food on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
10 greatly contributing to disease. And we all know 10 foods.
Yep.
Like, I'm all filled up on lawsuits, but like, you can kind of figure
Yeah,
out
exactly.
what I'm
We
talking
won't
about.
poke that bear today. No, that's fine.
Yeah. Dear God. So with that said, foods that help to cure disease, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on a highway and a motorcycle just, so if that came up in yours, I
You're
apologize
fine.
sound-wise. I live in 1 to 5. So 5 would be those organic Cheetos, right? It's
Yeah.
not going to kill you. It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Try to eat the 1 to 3 foods more, right?
That's
And
good.
then the 5 foods, like 20% of the time, it's 80-20. 80% of the time, good stuff. 20% of the time, the 5 foods, avoid the chemicals as much as possible.
It's great.
It's just called balance.
Yeah.
Keep
And
some
it's teaching your
balance.
kids as you go, right? And a lot of those 5s, well, even the 3s and the 1s can taste really good. It's just being educated on what those are and
And
that kind of
how
thing.
much to have.
Right.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love it. John Agnew, who is an executive at the YMCA, said,
Ooh.
I would love to know her thoughts on the future of fitness. What does she think? And where does she think, how does she think virtual options will play in, especially after these last few years?
I think it's going to go the other way.
Interesting.
So I do. I think we all were like, okay, the Peloton and the tonal and the mirror and
Yeah.
the apps. And we shot during COVID an entire, like every single piece of equipment in the gym to create gym programs
Wow.
because I think people are going back to the gym. I
Yep.
think that anybody who worked out at home before will continue to work out at home now. Personally, I have never enjoyed the gym so much. I hate the gym. I hate working out. I've always hated it. And
That's
now,
hilarious.
I love what it affords me, but I hate working out.
That's
Now I'm
hilarious.
on my Stairmaster. I'm like, ooh, yeah, come on, ooh. Hey, Mom, hi. Jackie, good to see you. Good to see you. No, it's good to
Yeah.
see you,
It's
Susan.
just so good to
Like,
be back in that space,
oh
right?
my God.
Yeah.
I think people want to be around people. I
Yeah.
want to take a group X class. I
That's
want to see that smelly person's puddle of sweat. Like, I used to hate it. I was like, ugh, personal space
right.
and you smell, and I don't need to see through your spandex. This is a nightmare. Now I'm like, oh, bring it. All of it. All the sweaty humans. Like, I just think we're going to go back to being around people. I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to go the other way. I
Yep.
don't. And you're even starting to see subscriptions wane
Yeah.
of things like Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max are all plummeting at record numbers. People want to go to concerts,
People
man.
want to get back out. Yeah, absolutely.
It's time.
It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see. My hope is we never take it for granted at the level.
Oh,
Maybe someday we will, but I hope we never take it for granted. Now I got a couple more that I just love. Sally Householder, there we go, asked, "What's your favorite part of working out and why, besides physically looking great?"
I was going to say skinny jeans. And I'm not afraid to use the word skinny. Screw you guys.
There you go.
all know you have a pair of skinny jeans and you know those are your favorites and you know it feels good when you fit into them. Okay, my favorite part beyond that, I would say is really threefold. The first
Yeah.
one is that, my kids are constantly impressed by their cool mom. So whether I'm taking like 3-foot jumps on or my motorized surfboard, and this thing called a
Nice.
jet surf. It's my favorite thing ever.
How badass is that? What?
It's
I got to
the
Google
coolest
that.
thing ever.
We'll put it in the resources of this episode. What?
Sick. I swear to God, it's called a jet surf. Way cooler than that stupid little hoverboard or whatever
Yeah.
that is, with the little like floating above. No, this is way cooler than that. So anyway, like whether it's that or it's teaching them how to do a handstand or snowboarding down, I want to say black diamond, but I'm not that good, but snowboarding with them,
Snowboarding, period. Yes.
with them, it's like, that's my mom. My mom was a badass. That feels good. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
want my kids to be like, that bitch was a gangster. You know, like, I'll be like, remember
Go
when
mom,
was
right?
80 and she was
That's
flying down
awesome.
on her surfboard? So that really matters to me. That, and it's funny because this happens a lot and I actually love it. And I know that so many women find it offensive, but a lot of times, whether you're advertising something on social media, you'll know they'll be the host of comments.
Yeah.
And the comments are like, God, she looks amazing for her age. And people get so offended by that. And I'm like, damn right I do. I'm 47. I look amazing for 47. I look amazing. I look better than I looked when I was 37. And to me, it's like, yeah, that's what happens.
Yep.
When you do, like, you work out, you focus on, I'm not perfect, but I take my vitamins, I eat pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I keep my fitness level up. And so, yeah, for 47, I have a perfect bill of health. I look great. I think I look great for 47. That matters.
That's awesome.
To me.
That's awesome.
That matters to me.
Yep.
So,
And you're willing to, it's fascinating to know you don't necessarily or never love working out, but when you realize the rewards and the why, right? Like, that's incredible. All right. So 2 last questions, one of which comes from Bridget Rao. She said, she is so awesome. I love her. I would love to know what's one thing she can't live without right now.
Did I mention coffee? I live without. Gosh, what is I wonder if she means food or
Anything.
if it's health related, I'm a huge supplement person.
Yeah.
In fact, invested in a company called Allied Naturals that I loved so much. That's how crazy I was about it. I invested money.
You loved it so much, you bought into it. That's beautiful.
I bought into it. Yeah. So I'm big on that. I'm always looking for those hacks, like understanding which strains in my probiotic are going to be the most effective at, I go deep.
That's awesome.
Deep, super deep. I go deep on that stuff. So I love my supplements. Other than my children, I would imagine that goes without saying.
Right, of course.
A big supplement person. Yeah,
that's
and coffee.
Awesome.
Serious about my caffeine.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, absolutely. All right. So last question. This is my question, but hey, it's my show, so I get to ask it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a second to think about it as I direct people to more of your universe here. So, all right, here's the thing. Be thinking about it. What's one piece of wisdom you wish you'd known earlier when it comes to getting clear and going after dreams and goals. All right. So you think about
Oh,
that
I
for
already
just a
know it.
second.
You let me know
All
when
right.
you're ready.
You percolate,
Let me know.
drink another
Okay.
cup of coffee. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we have been talking with Jillian Michaels. I know you love her. You're going to want to go to jillianmichaels.com. We will have all of the information, all the ways to follow her in this post, but her newest book is The 6 Keys, Unlock Your Genetic Potential with for Ageless Strength, Health, and Beauty. It's amazing. It's jam-packed full of high science and powerful strategies. My wife and I have actually been reading through it. It's impressive. Plus, you want to grab the fitness app by Jillian Michaels. It will blow your mind as far as how comprehensive it is and how usable it is on so many fronts of wellness and health. So go get that. All right. Did I give you enough time? Not that
You
you
sure
need it.
did. Legal
Awesome.
advice.
Legal advice.
Legal
Fascinating.
advice. Don't double check everything, get multiple opinions, have a litigator look at everything, make sure they explain what is on every page of that contract.
Yeah.
Not the broad, not the the bigger point. I mean every single page. What is on it? What does it say? Have it looked at by multiple people. Bad legal advice will ruin your life.
That's amazing. I have a feeling
Yeah.
there's about 72 stories behind that.
73.
As quickly as it came, 73.
Yeah, 73.
And I'm sure some
probably
of them
two
were
more going up.
expensive, right? Absolutely.
Oh my God. You have no like career-ending mistakes.
Yeah.
That I managed to but wow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, again, I've been so impressed as I've dug deeper on your story. I've been so blown away. But I think that is the perfect segue to my last compliment of you is you have persevered, my friend, and it's paid off. But I mean, 73 legal whatevers and all of that, all the ups and downs, you have persevered. And I think that is incredible. And I'm inspired by it. I know Dream Think Doers are going to be very inspired by it. If they weren't familiar with you, I'm sure they're going to be digging in deep as well. So thanks so much for taking the time. It's been a joy to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And if there's ever anything else, you know where to find me.
You got
I think
it.
I'll be in Miami, I hope.
That's exactly. Peace out, California. You are the bomb. I love it.